you of coffees that tend to make things glow.
Oh, yeah.
Over the summer, I decided to make ramen from scratch. Now, ramen is made using kansui, which is an alkaline solution that keeps the noodles from getting gummy and raw. I didn't have any, and there aren't any Japanese markets near my home tomorrow. So, spotting an occasion to use my chemistry education, I decided to make my own. It was simple enough. The reaction was 2 steps, and all of the starting materials were things that are commonly available. So I gather my ingredients, I mix them together. No, I'm not calling Yale's Pfoho, that was the rat's job. So I mix the ingredients, I put it in the oven that I'm using as my heat source, and I leave it to do its thing. And then I come back to check out the reaction. At this point, my family follows me into the kitchen to see what it is that I'm doing. And I see the right crystal structure, so I pull out the tray of the powder that is now at 500 degrees, and I figure, it looks right, so it's probably done. So I take it over to the pot of water that I'm going to make the noodles in, and since I'm in the kitchen, I'm working on a much larger scale than I used to from lab, so I should probably have redone my heat calculations, but I didn't. So I dump this really hot pile of crystals into the water, and it creates a pocket of steam, and it explodes. At this point, everybody in the kitchen has their noses on fire because the caustic powder is in the air, so we all go and deal with that. And then I come back and wipe down all those flat surfaces in the kitchen because those will all do that to you now too. And then I finish making the noodles and serve them for dinner. They were delicious. I tell this story for 3 reasons. The first reason begins, as do all reasons, with the mission of the college.
Where's Rakesh?
The second reason is as a cautionary tale about the virtues of eye protection. And the third reason is to share my love of chemistry. This is a love in 3 parts. The most obvious part is your standard nerd story about how wonderful it is to know how the world works, how the plastics that make our society run are made from petroleum, why red cabbage turns pink when you add lemon juice to it. The second part is not an easy thing to notice, but if you listen for a while, you might begin to feel it in the glint of a chemist's eye or the zeal of a grant proposal. It is a sense of possibility, the beginnings of mastery over one's environment, the ability to make the chemicals around you do whatever you want. Well, as long as you remember to account for heat capacity. The third part is a counterpoint of sorts, but it's also the greatest of the 3. It is the unparalleled source that chemistry is of terrible puns. I'd give you an example, but all the good ones are gone. Did you know our house mascot's Polar? No. I'm just gonna, I'll stop. Recently, I've become interested in a new type of chemistry, one of the less understood areas, but also one of the more exciting. It's the chemistry of large groups of people, what others might call building community. I will share some of the questions that I've explored in this area, and yes, there will be 3 of them. I used to serve on the board of the Harvard community of humanists, atheists, and agnostics, or as we like to call ourselves, the CHOP. The goal of this group is to create a social space for people to talk about questions that matter to them, much like religious groups do. But unlike these other groups, there's no unifying purpose, no love of Allah or Jesus or the flying spaghetti monster to get us all in the same place. So deciding what events we should plan, what sorts of people we should recruit, and what sorts of norms we want to form was difficult. What does it mean to form an organization that only deals with the non-religious purposes of churches and synagogues? What does it mean to create a community around the absence of a thing? You might say this reactivity is poorly characterized. My attention has since turned to another community with an ill-defined common purpose. Paradoxically, this community is bigger, but its members have even less in common. And these members of this community will inexplicably give up part of their Sunday afternoons to listen to a tortured metaphor about chemistry. The Pfoho community is a strange thing, but it manages to be one of the best parts of so many of our college experiences. That potential is why I ran to your social chair, despite my profound dislike of people. It's been a great ride, except when you flake. And you've been a great substrate for my experiments. I found ways to make you chase each other around this dining hall with your ID cards in hand, to eat meals with strangers, to read emails with unholy numbers of PF funds. The funds. I've also learned a lot about reactivity from you, the catalyzing effect of common spaces like the Pfoho, the effect of existing group dynamics on the formation of new interactions, and the sheer amount of energy that we can release when we come into contact with Housing Day. I'm almost expecting another explosion. What does the community mean to you? With Pfoho elections coming up, what do you want it to be? That was only 2 sets of questions, so I'll close with this. Why were the mole of oxygen atoms excited when they left the bar? Because they got Avogadro's number. Thank you.